One of my favorite things that we've gotten in the Pokemon franchise are regional forms. I love these so much. The idea that a Pokemon can look different and function different and have a different type and appearance and all this in a completely different region is so cool and based on real world stuff, which makes it even cooler in my opinion. Welcome back to the Lumiose Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about one specific regional variant, the weirdest regional variant there is, and that is Alolan Raichu. So with these regional variants, oftentimes the Pokemon Company will kind of give us an explanation of how this Pokemon went from whatever it was originally to whatever. Like, sometimes they even state that the regional form, like Galarian Zigzagoon or Alolan Exeggutor, is actually the original form. So actually the Hawaiian Zigzagoon and the Cantonian Exeggutor are the regional variants, so to speak. They'll give us the explanations, like how the amount of sunlight is what makes Alolan Exeggutor able to obtain the dragon typing in this taller form. The amount of sunlight that's getting in the Alola region, that is. Sometimes it's because a Pokemon had to flee its environment and go to a different environment because of predators or something, and so it had to adapt to that. Or maybe it's just some kind of dispute with an enemy or a natural predator, and that makes the Pokemon have to change. Either way, the Pokemon Company likes to give us explanations, and perhaps the weirdest explanations they've given us is pancakes. That's right, Alolan Raichu, the reason that Raichu changed into Alolan Raichu is because pancakes. You know how sometimes you eat a pancake and you get psychic powers? You know when that happens? Like, you know, it's annoying, right? Like, the other day, I'm about to make a waffle, and then I take a bite, and I start bending spoons with my mind. I'm like, ah, dang it, I made a pancake instead. But seriously, this is kind of funny, but it is also interesting, because the implication that the pancakes that Raichu's eating is what made it become Alolan Raichu would actually imply that this is based on Pikachu's diet and not actually Alolan Raichu. So that would make Alolan Raichu not a regional variation of Raichu, but in fact a completely different split evolution altogether. So instead of a Raichu Alolan Raichu scenario, we're looking at like a Gallade Gardevoir scenario. Interestingly enough, to keep going with that, that would mean Alolan Raichu wouldn't be Raichu. It would be a brand new Pokemon altogether, and the Alolans actually do have a name for Alolan Raichu. We see this with some Pokemon that they have another name that's kind of used by natives of the region they're found in. And with Alolan Raichu, it's called Hodad. So, yeah, it has another name. So that's just kind of neat. But I don't actually think it is a split evolution. I do think it's a regional variation. And I just think that scientists may not know exactly what's going on here. See, because the thing is, if I breed a Raichu and Alola, and I hatch a Pichu from that egg, I evolve it into a Pikachu, and then I give it a Thunderstone, evolving it into a Raichu, it will still be an Alolan Raichu. But I've raised this Pichu ever since it was an egg, so I can confirm that there were no pancakes in this Pichu's diet. There weren't. It never ate a pancake, and yet it still evolved into Alolan Raichu. So why is this? Well, interestingly enough, people kind of have actually taken this and given it a little more than it actually is. People say that they say Raichu has changed into Alolan Raichu because of pancakes, but actually that's not it. It says that scientists think that diet is one of the factors in this Pokemon's variation. Furthermore, in Sword and Shield, it even states that weather, climate, and diet all seem to play a role in the variation of Raichu to Alolan Raichu. So, clearly scientists don't really know what's going on here, and they're just trying to figure out what exactly is happening here. And we actually do see that in the real world too. Scientists actually do not know why narwhals have the long horn or tusk that they have. They don't, it's actually a large tooth, but that's, you know, a whole nother thing. They don't know if it's for, some people think it might be for social status, like, you know, the bigger tusk is kind of the top dog of the pod, or it might even be for hunting in the Arctic. They don't know. They have their theories, but they're not 100% sure. Even in humans, we have a little thing called an appendix, and for some of us, it's a time bomb. And scientists don't really know why we have that. They're starting to think it maybe has something to do with the immune system, but they don't know. So just like that, in the Pokemon world, we're seeing a Pokemon, Alolan Raichu, where scientists are like, we don't know why Cantonium Raichu had to become this to adapt to this Alolan climate. This even would explain why we don't see Alolan Raichu in the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So in the DLC, in the Blueberry Academy, you can explore the terrarium, which is a completely artificial environment, and one of these areas, the coastal biome, is home to a lot of Alolan forms. They've made a biome that is suitable for Pokemon that are only supposed to be able to exist in the Alolan climate. Alolan Exeggutor, Alolan Muck, Alolan Diglett, they all live here. But interestingly enough, Alolan Raichu does not live here. And that would make sense, right? They're able to replicate the environmental needs to give us Alolan Grimer, Alolan Diglett, Alolan Exeggutor, but since scientists aren't 100% sure on what's causing Alolan Raichu, the Blueberry Academy, or the people behind it, are not really able to replicate that in the terrarium. As for my theory, I'd say that the pancakes thing is not as far off as one would think. I think that a similar Pokemon that's evolved in a similar way can actually be found in another region, not the Alola region, and that's the Galar region with Galarian Weezing. We know that Galarian Weezing evolved to be this way due to the pollution or the air quality of the Galar region. I'd say that this is a similar thing with Raichu. Raichu is said to kind of give off a sweet scent, and this probably is where scientists are thinking that maybe it has something to do with its diet, right? Like we see real-world animals that smell a certain way, or even humans, honestly. We will smell a certain way if all we eat is one thing. If you eat cheese all the time and that's all you eat, you're probably going to smell like cheese. I suggest you eat a strawberry every once in a while or something to balance that out. But what I'm thinking is that the air of Alola just happens to be a little sweeter, in fact, probably a lot sweeter than other environments. This can be due to many different things, probably a combination of all these things. It can be due to the plants or the fruits that grow in the Alola region. I mean, keep in mind that in the Alola region are these flowers that give off nectar that actually allows another Pokemon, Oricorio, to change its form, which is like a very minor version of regional variation. They came from the same idea in the real world, Darwin's finches. And yeah, I'd even say this can also come from some other Pokemon, such as Bounsweet or Comfey, or even from all the baking that is done in the Alola region. Baking these pancakes, baking these malasadas. It's going to give a sweet aroma to the air of Alola. And I don't think that we often think about how much smell affects air quality, but it really, really does. Humans have, in fact, built an entire industry around this idea, right? Like, candles are a thing, deodorants, colognes, soaps. There are so many things that humans have made into a whole industry. I can go into a store called a Yankee Candle, and it's just candles and car scents in there. And that's it. They don't sell anything else. Humans have made an industry based on making our environment and our bodies smell the way we want it to smell, because smell is an important part of life and your quality of life. Likewise, if you smell cigarette smoke all the time, you're likely breathing in that tobacco, and that's bad for you, and that's why secondhand smoking's a thing. Same thing with marijuana. They say that contact high is a thing because you can actually get a low contact high from just smelling someone else smoking that stuff. But I think that's exactly it. Just as the human industrialization of Galar and the mass factories changed the air quality of Galar and allowed Weezing to become Galarian Weezing with all this pollution that it just thrives in, I think we did a similar but better thing with Alola, where all the baking combined with all the sweetness of the fruits and the plants and even the Pokemon of the Alola region just makes the air different, which allowed Raichu to change into this Alolan Raichu. But yeah, that's just my theory on how this Pokemon can exist. Be sure to let me know what you think of this in the comments below, as well as what you think of Alolan Raichu in general. It is a really cool Pokemon, one of my favorite regional variants, if I'm honest. So I'm a big fan, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future videos. And until next time, I'll see all of you later.